All right, diving right in. Today we're breaking down a recent nail-biter from the IPL. The Chennai Super Kings going head-to-head with the Delhi Capitals happened on Saturday, April 5th, 2025.
A Saturday showdown.
Yeah, and we've got this really detailed live score report from the Indian Express to help us unpack everything. It's packed with all the action, all the plays, all the stats, really, the works. So we're going to sift through it all and pinpoint what really made this particular match one for the books.
Absolutely. And especially for those of you listening who want that core understanding without getting bogged down in all the cricket jargon, we're going to focus on the crucial moments, those unexpected turns, and the real driving forces behind the outcome. Of course, if any cricket terms pop up that might need a little explanation, we'll be sure to clarify those along the way.
Perfect. So right off the bat, pun intended, maybe we see that Delhi defeated Chennai. A comfortable win by 25 runs. But here's where it gets interesting. Delhi, they hadn't actually won a single match at Chennai's home turf, Chepauk, since way back in 2010. Yeah, a 15-year drought broke in. And on the Chennai side, even though they lost, the legendary MS Dhoni, he stayed unbeaten on 30.
The man just keeps going.
He does, he really does. And get this, his parents were actually in the stands at Chepauk for the very first time since he started with CSK back in 2008.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what were the key factors here? What led to this Delhi victory? And what about these awesome side stories?
Well, let's break it down, starting with the Delhi Capitals innings. They won the toss, right? And Aksar Patel, he decides to bat first. The real standout for Delhi was undoubtedly KL Rahul. He put together a pretty significant 77 runs.
Impressive.
Yeah, but there's an interesting point here. Even as he was building up this score, one of the commentators, Akash Chopra, he actually raised a question. He was wondering if Rahul should have aimed for a century, especially if the pitch wasn't playing exceptionally fast. So it kind of makes you think, how do these batsmen actually assess the conditions on the fly and adjust their targets during a live match?
It's a great point. It's that in-the-moment decision-making that's so crucial. Now, Abhishek Parel, he also played a really crucial supporting role, contributing a solid 33 runs. And by the time their 20 overs were up, Delhi had reached 183 runs for the loss of 6 wickets. Sounds like they finished strong, adding 43 runs in those last few overs.
Yeah, a strong finish, but it wasn't entirely smooth sailing.
Right.
KL Rahul, he actually got dismissed on a bouncer in that very last over. And then, get this, on the very next ball, Ashutosh Sharma gets run out. So 2 wickets down and 2 consecutive deliveries right at the end.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like they had this platform set to maybe even reach that 200-run mark.
Huh?
But those final moments, they kind of stumbled, preventing them from squeezing out every last run.
So a little bit of a roller coaster there at the end for Delhi. The report mentions that they did cross that 150-run mark in the 17th over, and KL Rahul, he hit his half-century in 33 balls. And this was his 38th IPL 50. And for context, he has 4 centuries in his entire IPL career, though this wasn't one of them.
Right, right.
They also passed the 100-run mark in the 12th over, so it seems like they were building their innings pretty steadily.
Yeah.
Aksar Patel also contributed a quick 21 runs off just 14 balls, even smashing a 6 in there. Showed a bit of aggression in the middle overs. And that partnership between Parel and Rahul, that seems to have been crucial in laying that solid foundation.
Yeah. Definitely a key partnership. But what's interesting about their early play is that they started a little cautiously, reaching 25 for 1 after 3.1 overs. Jake Fraser-McGurk, he got out relatively early.
Oh, okay.
The report also mentions that Faf du Plessis, he wasn't actually fit to play for Delhi in this match. So Samir Rizvi, he had to step in.
Interesting.
It just goes to show how those last-minute team changes and those unexpected absences can really impact a team's game plan right from the start.
Absolutely, it throws a wrench in the works. So Delhi sets a target of 184 runs. Now, let's turn our attention to Chennai Super Kings and their chase. They finished at 158 for 5 in their 20 overs, falling short by those 25 runs that we talked about. And as we mentioned, MS Dhoni, he remained not out with 30 runs off 26 balls. He came in pretty late in the innings, though, didn't he? After CSK had already lost 5 wickets with only 74 runs on the board.
Yeah, he did. And Vijay Shankar, he also stayed not out, scoring 69 runs off 54 balls. But the report uses this interesting word, scratchy, to describe his innings.
Scratchy.
Yeah, scratchy. So for those who aren't super familiar with cricket lingo, a scratchy innings basically means the batsmen, yeah, they scored runs, but it wasn't always the most fluent or convincing. Maybe they played and missed a few times or got lucky with some edges. And in a chase, that can be a big deal because it doesn't put as much pressure on the bowlers.
Makes sense.
Another thing that stands out is the lack of boundaries in CSK's innings. They only managed to hit 9 boundaries in total, and 5 of those came from Vijay Shankar himself. Dhoni, Dubé, Gaikwad, Conway, they each only hit 1 boundary,
Wow.
and they only hit 3 sixes throughout their whole innings.
9 boundaries, 3 sixes when you're trying to chase down 184 in a T20 match. That suggests a real struggle to find those big hits, the ones that can really shift the momentum.
Exactly. And the report even points out that at one point, they needed a whopping 41 runs off the last over. I mean, that's almost unheard of in this format.
Yeah, tough ask.
Although we did see Dhoni hit a 6 in the 19th over, which obviously got the crowd roaring. But even then, they still needed 54 runs off those last 2 overs.
So close, yet so far.
Yeah. And this is where the commentary really starts to question CSK's approach, calling it a baffling game plan. It seemed like for a large chunk of their innings, there was no real urgency, no intent to really accelerate the scoring. Ravi Shastri, he even commented that there was no attempt being made to attack the bowling, which is pretty telling. And that required run rate. It just kept climbing.
Yeah.
And you could feel it at Chepauk, this sort of a palpable silence as the hope of a CSK victory started to dwindle. They needed 72 runs off the last 24 balls at one point, and then there was this stretch where they went a whole 28 deliveries with only 1 boundary. You really start to wonder about the communication, the strategy within the team during that chase.
Yeah, you can almost feel that pressure building, mounting with each delivery. We see that after 14 overs, CSK were at 96 for 5, needing 88 runs off the last 6 overs. Shivam Dubé, a known power hitter, he was caught for 18, and Ravindra Jadeja, a key all-rounder, he was dismissed for just 2. And even earlier, after 9 overs, they were at 59 for 3, with the required run rate already over 11 runs per over. And get this, they hadn't even hit a single 6 at that point.
It's like this slow start, this inability to find those boundaries early on. It seems to be a recurring theme for CSK this season. The report even mentions a comment from Robin Uthappa, a former CSK player. He actually questioned their batting order, suggesting that their captain, Ruturaj Gaikwad, should be opening the batting. And if we look at their performance in the power play, those first 6 overs where teams usually aim to score quickly, CSK, they only managed 46 for 3 in this match. And the report highlights that this has been a trend throughout the season. They've only had one instance where they scored more than 50 runs in the power play. In their previous matches, they scored just 30 for 3 against Royal Challengers Bangalore and 42 for 1 against Rajasthan Royals.
Those are some tough numbers.
Yeah, and that consistent struggle in those early overs just puts so much pressure on their middle and lower order to make up for it later in the innings.
Absolutely. It's like playing catch-up from the get-go, and those early wickets definitely didn't help. Devin Conway got out for 13, Ruturaj Gaikwad fell for just 5 in the 3rd over, and Rachin Ravindra was out very early for 3 in the 2nd over. So their top order really failed to set any kind of solid foundation for this chase.
Right.
Now, for context, CSK's captain, Ruturaj Gaikwad, he had just recovered from an elbow issue, so he was fit to play, and they did make a couple of changes to their playing 11. Conway replaced Overton, and Mukesh came in for Tripathi, just to paint the full picture there.
Good context. So if we zoom out and look at those key moments, those turning points, well, for Delhi, it was that strong start, led by that impressive innings from KL Rahul, that really set the stage for their victory.
Makes sense.
For CSK, it was that top order collapse during the power play that put them on the back foot right from the start. And while Dhoni's late unbeaten knock, it gave the fans something to cheer about, it ultimately wasn't enough to bridge the gap. And of course, the bigger story here, Delhi, breaking that 15-year winless streak at Chepauk.
Talk about a historical win.
Exactly. It's a big deal in the context of IPL history.
Now, let's hear some reactions after the match. Axar Patel, Delhi's captain, he seemed pretty pleased, saying that he didn't think that it would be this easy. He also highlighted Delhi's momentum, those 3 wins in a row. And he mentioned something interesting. He chose to only bowl 1 over himself. Seems like a tactical decision based on the match situation and how the other bowlers were performing. Really shows how captains are constantly making these on-the-fly calculations during the game.
Oh, absolutely. Every decision matters.
Definitely. Mitch Stark, one of Delhi's key bowlers, he felt it was a pretty good performance overall. He praised the adjustments made by their batting lineup and how effective their bowling unit was, especially in getting those early wickets in the power play. And he actually pointed out a difference in the pitch conditions compared to their previous game. He said that the red soil at Chepauk, it seemed to offer more pace and had a slightly too-paced nature. So it highlights the importance of bowlers adapting their strategies based on the specific pitch they're playing on.
Definitely. Reading the pitch is a crucial skill.
It is. Now, what about Ruturaj Gaikwad, CSK's captain? What did he have to say?
Well, he was pretty candid about their performance. He admitted that their power play, both batting and bowling, has been a big area of concern for them in the last three matches. He felt like maybe the team was playing a bit too cautiously at the start, which led to those early wickets and forced them into this pattern of always trying to catch up.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he also mentioned that they missed having Overton, their overseas all-rounder, in the team. Probably affected their balance a bit. He said their strategy was to try and bat deep into the innings, hoping to launch a late surge, which didn't quite pan out.
So taking the long view, but not quite getting there.
Right. And that assessment of their power play struggles, it's really insightful. It raises the question of their mindset in those crucial opening overs. Do they need to be more aggressive, more proactive in their scoring?
Yeah, good question.
And that mention of missing Overton, it underscores how team balance and player availability can really influence a team's overall strategy and how they execute it.
For sure. Now, let's not forget some of the other notable moments from this match. We talked about the special occasion of MS Dhoni's parents being at Chepauk for the first time since 2008. Even though CSK didn't win, that personal element, it definitely added a unique touch to the event.
It did, and it speaks volumes about Dhoni's legacy, his deep connection with the franchise, and with his family and fans.
It's heartwarming to see.
Yeah. And the report also highlighted this interesting battle between two left-arm wrist spinners, Noor Ahmad for CSK and Kuldeep Yadav for DC. It was a cool showcase of different styles and the importance of spin bowling in T20 cricket.
Right. Variety is key.
Definitely. And we also can't forget Akash Chopra's analysis during the match. He questioned KL Rahul's scoring rate at one point, which shows how much scrutiny player performance is under in the IPL. Every run, every decision is analyzed. And then there was Matisha Pathirana, the young CSK fast bowler who was brought on in the 12th over. There's actually a documentary about him and his connection with MS Dhoni that was recently released, so that added another layer of interest to his appearance in the game.
A nice bit of background. So to sum it up, Delhi Capitals secured a big win against Chennai Super Kings, breaking that long 15-year drought at Chepauk. KL Rahul's steady innings and a disciplined bowling performance were key for Delhi, while CSK, they really struggled, particularly in the power play with their batting. And despite MS Dhoni's unbeaten knock towards the end, they just couldn't chase down that target.
Right. And I think it's worth emphasizing that this wasn't just any other match. The fact that Dhoni's parents were there, watching him play at Chepauk for the first time in 17 years of the IPL, it just adds a whole other layer of significance to the event.
It really does. And for all of you listening, I hope this deep dive has given you a thorough understanding of this specific IPL match without having to watch the whole thing or wade through endless commentary. You've now got those key insights into the team strategies, the individual player contributions, and the historical context of this Delhi victory. Perfect for staying in the loop.
Absolutely. And this brings up a really interesting point to ponder, especially considering CSK's power play woes and what their own captain had to say. How crucial is it to get off to a strong start in T20 cricket? And what changes might CSK need to consider to get back to their winning ways?
It's a good question to think about.
It is. And maybe exploring past IPL seasons and seeing if there's a link between power play performance and overall success. That might be something interesting to dig into.
Some food for thought for all our listeners. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Thanks for listening.